Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to SDL Trading Academy. So I'm going to make another multi-time frame update on Bitcoin USDT. So as you all know, if you have been following us, you will know we have been holding shorts from around $47,000. We have recently closed our shorts, so this is why I'm making an update on the current situation, because my perspective has changed in the short term. So anyway, let's get straight into it. Starting here on the monthly time frame, what we can see on BTC USDT. So the market formed this double top formation and broke the bullish structure to the downside when it broke below exactly this candle here on the monthly time frame. So we have a bearish impulse from this high to this low. Then the market provided us with a correction from this level of demand, exactly as you'd expect. So we have a bearish impulse, a bearish correction, and we can expect to see the continuation for the market to complete this impulse correction continuation pattern to the downside and to go and test this level of demand that we have all across this zone. So my perspective still has not changed in the longer term. I do still see an extremely high probability of the market coming into this area, but I do think in the short term we're about to see a bounce after such a bearish move. So anyway, now let's drop down to the weekly time frame and see what we can see from a weekly perspective. So we know on the weekly time frame the market has rejected this level of monthly and weekly resistance, which is exactly in confluence with the Fibonacci level. If we take our fib from the high to the low of the bearish impulse, we can see that the market hit the 0.382 in confluence with this level of resistance and rejected it from the to the downside. And we made an update when the market was here explaining all the reasons why we expected to see this move, and that's exactly what the market has done. So now, as you can see, we have made a new bearish impulse to the downside, which has broken below exactly this zone here. So this zone is previous weekly resistance here, and here you can clearly see weekly resistance all across this zone. The market has now broke it to the downside with a new bearish impulse. We obviously have a lower high as well. We have the weekly high, a lower weekly high, another lower weekly high. We also have this bearish flag. So a very clear bearish flag here. So obviously the market is in a downtrend on all time frames, and here on higher time frames, sorry, and here on the weekly, you can clearly see this bear flag, downtrend, bearish flag, and you obviously know what is expected when the market forms this pattern. So this is my perspective. We have now made an impulse to the downside, a weekly bearish impulse, and we are testing a strong level of weekly support now. There is a very, very strong level of support all across this zone with the ascending trend line and this low here. So I do expect a bounce in the short term. Also, if you are a follower of my free Telegram group, I've recently put a post on there about the on-chain metrics. So in the past 24 hours, almost 26,000 Bitcoins have been withdrawn from crypto exchanges. So that's a record for the last 5 weeks, according to Santiment. If compared with the Bitcoin price chart, then such surges often precede at least a growth. So historically, every time this amount of Bitcoin has been removed from exchanges, we have seen a 24% price rise and then a 26% price rise. So if you drop now to the lower time frames, bearing all of the information I've just shared, we are testing this zone and we expect a bounce. So if we drop now to the daily time frame, we can identify once again this level of support that we have all across this zone. We're going to delete this zone for the moment. So we know we have a strong area exactly here. So this is a nice area as well. So we're going to keep that identified. And we have a very strong level of demand all across this zone here. We obviously have this ascending trend line. So this is the bearish flag that the market is now inside of. But we do have lows here. I would like to see these lows get taken out. So I'm going to drop down to the micro time frame in a moment and show you exactly what I mean. But the market has formed lows here and there is liquidity below this trend line. At the moment, there is going to be a lot of traders trying to play this position and their liquidity is going to be below this low here at this level of demand. So we know we have a nice, very strong level of demand exactly at this zone. So I would like to see first the market sweep these lows, hit the stop losses of the long traders, and this move here would also induce bears into the market. So this move would do two things. It would hit the stop losses of traders that have already opened longs, trying to catch this move to the upside. And then it will also induce bears into the market. A lot of short positions will trigger as the market breaks below this trend line. So then their stop losses will be back up here. And this is what the market does. The market will create a false move to generate liquidity into the area in which it needs to move. So based on our higher time frame analysis, we have an impulse to the downside. We expect a correction. We're testing the demand zone. On-chain metrics show that we have bullish metrics with Bitcoin being taken off exchanges. So we have a lot of confidence in why we expect to see this bounce. We have an area of liquidity below these lows. We want to see this liquidity removed and then liquidity created in this area by inducing bears. And then the market will be able to make the move into the liquidity and come back up and make the correction. Now, this correction, I don't know. We obviously don't know where it's going to get rejected, but I do expect it to get rejected. So this is my perspective. I'm going to show you now on lower time frames how we're going to be looking at capitalizing on it. And then obviously if everything plays out, we will definitely be looking for shorts at this area. This is where we have the possibility of a macro M formation forming here. And obviously this is inside of the bearish flag at a confluence of resistance. We have a very, very strong level of weekly, monthly and Fibonacci resistance all across this green identified zone in confluence of this ascending trend line, in confluence with this level of resistance, which the market's just rejected. So we have a lot of confidence for all of this move. This is a highly probable move. And this is my perspective. Obviously, trading is reactive, not predictive, but based on past price action, this is my perspective. If we now drop down to the micro time frames, I'm going to show you how we're going to be looking for a potential entry with students. So here on the micro time frames, we can firstly identify the corrective downtrends that we have, which is exactly here. So this is the corrective downtrend that we have inside of the bearish flag. So we have a descending trend line here. If we drop down to the lower time frames again, you can clearly see the market has just rejected this descending trend line. If we drop down even lower to the 30-minute time frame, we can identify where the market is going to go according to the probabilities in the short term. Now here on the 30-minute time frame, we know we have areas of liquidity here, 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 and here, and of course here. So what the market has just done, the market made this double top formation exactly at this level of resistance. So we have a clear level of resistance all across this zone. We have a clear head and shoulders formation with the head, the left shoulder and the right shoulder. So what the market has just done, it created liquidity. As I just said, this happened over and over again. The market formed a double top formation here at this confluence of resistance, this right shoulder of this bearish head and shoulders formation, and this would have induced bears into the market. A lot of traders would have just played this trade here. They would have opened a short on this double top as the market made this right shoulder to potentially capitalize on this move to the downside. So the market has just made this fake move to the downside and then pumped back up and hunted their stop losses. Also, this will induce bulls into the market. And as you can see, we're already getting rejection exactly as we speak. So we are going to be dropping down to the micro timeframes and looking for a shorting opportunity. As I've just said, based on the higher timeframes, I'm expecting these lows to get swept. So I'm expecting the liquidity below these lows to get removed. And then we can look for the long to capitalize on the big bounce that I'm expecting. So as I said, we have liquidity below these lows. There'll be traders looking to catch this long position, and the market will hunt their liquidity. Highly probable, obviously it's trading, anything could happen, but there is a high probability that the market will hunt their liquidity before actually making the intended move. So we are going to be monitoring price action now as we speak on the lower time frames for a potential entry to capitalize on this liquidity grab to the downside. And then if everything goes to plan, as I said, inside of the area of demand below these lows, we'll be looking to capitalize on this potential move to the upside. And if we just quickly, one last thing, if we go back to the 1 hour time frame, we can identify how the market is potentially forming a very nice macro W formation at the confluence of supports that I've just identified. So I'm just going to draw it in very quickly, just so we can all identify it. And this is the move that I'm expecting to see from a macro perspective. And then obviously we will monitor the position as it starts taking out the liquidity above these highs. Because remember, above each high, we will have an area of liquidity. And that's exactly the move that I'm expecting. I'm expecting the market to hunt the areas of liquidity before we start seeing the move back down towards 30k.